Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Global Village, Language and Global Pathways. I'm Naomi.
And I'm Johnson. Today we're talking about something many English learners struggle with: fear of speaking. Why do so many people understand English but feel afraid to speak?
That's a very common and important issue, Johnson. Many learners actually have enough knowledge to communicate, but when it's time to speak, they hesitate or stay silent.
So the problem is not knowledge, but fear?
Exactly. Fear is often the biggest barrier, not ability.
What are people usually afraid of?
There are a few common fears. First, fear of making mistakes.
That's very common,
Second, fear of being judged by others.
especially in a work or classroom environment.
Yes. And third, fear of not being understood.
That can make people lose confidence quickly. Why do these fears have such a strong effect on people?
Because speaking is a real time activity, you don't have much time to think.
So people feel pressure to be correct immediately.
Naomi. Exactly. And that pressure makes them overthink.
And when they overthink, they stop speaking.
Yes, it becomes a cycle. Fear leads to silence, and silence prevents improvement.
That sounds difficult to break. So how can someone start overcoming this fear?
The first step is to change your mindset.
Johnson, in what way?
You need to accept that mistakes are normal.
Even necessary?
Exactly. Mistakes are not a sign of failure, they are part of learning.
That's easy to say, but not always easy to do.
True. That's why the second step is to start small.
What do you mean by small?
Very small. You don't need to give a long presentation, just say one or two sentences.
That feels more manageable.
Yes. For example, you can start by introducing yourself or sharing a simple opinion.
What about practicing alone? Does that help?
Absolutely. Speaking to yourself is a great way to build confidence.
Some people may feel uncomfortable doing that.
That's normal, but it's a safe space. You can practice without fear of judgment.
That helps reduce pressure.
Exactly.
Let me ask something deeper. Why is speaking so important compared to other skills?
Because speaking is the most visible skill.
What do you mean by visible?
When you speak, people can immediately see your ability.
So it affects how others perceive you.
Yes, even if you understand a lot, if you don't speak, people may think you don't know much.
That's a strong point. How does overcoming fear of speaking affect someone's progress?
It changes everything. Once you start speaking, your learning becomes active.
In what way?
You start thinking faster, responding naturally, and using what you've learned.
So speaking connects all other skills together.
Exactly.
What would you say to someone who still feels too afraid to speak?
I would say this: don't wait until you feel confident to speak. Speak first, and confidence will come later.
That's a powerful message.
Yes, confidence is not the starting point, it is the result.
So in the end, fear is normal, but it should not stop us.
Exactly. Fear is part of the process, not the end of it.
This conversation really makes me think about how many opportunities people lose just because they are afraid to speak.
Me too. But the good news is, this fear can be overcome step by step.
Thank you for sharing your insights, Naomi.
Thank you, Johnson. And thank you, everyone, for listening to Global Village, Language, and Global Pathways.
We hope today's episode helps you speak with more courage and confidence.
Take care, and we'll see you in the next episode.